The leader of the far-right Oath Keepers militia group has pleaded not guilty to seditious conspiracy for his role in the January 6th insurrection. Stewart Rhodes faced a judge for the first time today. This is his mugshot. Prosecutors seeking to keep Rhodes locked up before his trial. Federal investigators say Oath Keepers under Rhodes' command stormed the Capitol in military formation while decked out in tactical gear. You can see them here. The militia group also allegedly had stashes of guns ready to go on the outskirts of D.C. Rhodes' estranged ex-wife tells NBC News Rhodes truly believes he's a transformative figure in American history. Get this, like Martin Luther King Jr. and the Founding Fathers, as she put it. She says Rhodes lived with his family in a 900-square-foot cabin while using donations to buy an arsenal of weapons and military equipment. The charges of seditious conspiracy are rare. The last time it was filed, it was 2010 out of Michigan. Prosecutors then accused 9 members of a Christian militia of plotting an anti-government uprising. But in 2012, a judge acquitted them, ruling that prosecutors had failed to prove the militia had real plans to attack anyone. The U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan who charged that case at the time was Barbara McQuaid. She's now a law professor at the University of Michigan and an NBC News legal analyst. Barbara, thank you. Seditious conspiracy, tough to prove in court, right?
It is. You know, Shepard, the elements of the crime aren't really all that difficult. It just requires an agreement of 2 or more people to oppose by force the authority of the United States. And so on its face, that alone may not sound so difficult. And in that case that I prosecuted, we thought we had that evidence. But I think it brings with it an expectation that people have the means to succeed. When someone says, I'm going to start a civil war, I'm going to take on the United States, it sounds fanciful and far-fetched. And so I think it takes us a lot to get there to believe that this crime has been committed.
Barbara, you've seen this indictment against the Oath Keepers. Does the Justice Department have what you consider to be a strong case?
I do. I think this is not a charge they take lightly. I think they are likely feeling still the sting of the acquittal in 2010 in the case that I brought. And I think it's a cautionary tale about being extremely careful when filing charges of this magnitude. But I think the facts in this case, as alleged in the indictment, do seem to support such a charge. It's a 48-page indictment. It's detailed. It quotes verbatim from text messages between some of these Oath Keeper defendants. And it talks about their desire to start a civil war. It uses that phrase. It also says they're modeling their work on that of some dissidents in Serbia who did successfully overthrow the outcome of an election. And so I think the evidence here does suggest that their goals that day weren't just to create some havoc in the Capitol, but to prevent the transfer of presidential power.
Short on time, Barbara, but they'd like his cooperation, Rhodes' cooperation. How might they go about getting it?
It could be difficult for someone like him, but what they will do is confront him with the fact that you are facing perhaps 20 years in prison, and you can get a recommendation for leniency if you share with us information that you know. If there were people who are funding his collection of firearms or providing organizational and operational support, giving him direction, all of that would be of very great interest to the Justice Department, and I'm sure it would be worth a recommendation of a reduction in his sentence to get that information.